Hi, my name is Rich Adams. I'm an archaeologist at the University of Wyoming, and today I'm going to talk about making pemmican, which was a staple of prehistoric cuisine for thousands of years. The people who lived in Wyoming before Europeans arrived were hunters and gatherers. If there was any agriculture in Wyoming, it was very limited to the area around Torrington and maybe Flaming Gorge. And at times, prehistoric people had too much meat than they could eat at one sitting. So rather than let it go to waste, they would dry that meat in strips and make jerky out of it. Jerky, of course, is just dried lean meat. Today, jerky is far different. If you look at this jerky, the second and third ingredients are sugar and salt. Prehistoric pemmican had neither one in it at all. If you wanted salt, you'd have to go to the Great Salt Lake in Utah, but there's no evidence of a salt trade in Wyoming. Also in the summer, other foods were available that could be mixed in with pounded dried jerky. Since it's August, these are ripe currants that I got off a bush in our yard, and you can dry currants, and they wind up looking like this. These are dried currants. At the end of this month, whitebark pines will ripen. Whitebark pines grow from South Pass City north and west to Yellowstone and up into British Columbia, and they have large seeds, the second largest seeds of a edible pine nut in North America, and these seeds can be shelled and you get pine nuts like this. And if you mix pine nuts, currants, and jerky together, you have the ingredients for pemmican, and it winds up looking like this. This is prehistorically correct jerky that I made using stone tools. Or my Pemmican pemmican, which is made with 3 ingredients, looks like this. And it was made with a food processor. And they're very similar in flavor and in appearance there. I thought I'd walk you through the steps of how pemmican is made. First, you start with jerky. I'm assuming that I've got some dried bison and it's in a strip just like this. You want to pound up the jerky. It's easier to pound it if you have cut the jerky into small chunks, kind of like these. So how did people cut up jerky in the past before they had metal tools? Well, here's the piece of jerky. I guess I don't need that. And this is just a flake of a dark gray chert, and you can see it's got a very sharp edge. This was the basis of technology in prehistoric North America. You can see that it cuts it surprisingly well. An obsidian blade would cut even faster, like that. It's remarkably efficient. They used to do eye surgery with blades like this. There are other ways you can cut the jerky. For instance, this is an ulu that I made. This is a knife found up in Inuit territory along the Alaskan coast and in the interior. It's made out of polished slate. And you can also cut jerky with something like that. You need a cutting board to do it, but as you can see, it's pretty effective. It's a lot of work. You know, we don't just press the button on the food processor and go whir. So you can cut it up that way. Eventually, you get the pemmican, or you get the jerky all cut up, and then you want to pulverize it. So here's a mortar and pestle made out of just a piece of aspen and then basically a broomstick. And this process takes quite a while. You would just pound and pound and pound, pound and pound, and mash it back and forth. And the goal is to get the jerky pulverized, which means turned into powder. And when you finished, it looks like this. That's just jerky that's been pounded up. That's what I did yesterday. is pound jerky. Once you get the jerky pounded up, you could then switch to a larger tool. This is a granite mortar from California, and here's a pestle, and you take the pounded dried jerky, dump it in, add the dried currants, and add the pine nuts. And then you repeat the process of pounding over and over again like that. And this is a job, this is how to get young kids in the kitchen, prehistorically speaking, to help with food. And of course, this is really tasty. This is something that kids would swipe a taste now and then. And you just pound and rotate like this until you get to the consistency that you want. And see, it's a lot easier with the pre-pulverized jerky to do this. If you were going to turn that whole bag of jerky into powder, you'd be pounding for hours. There you go. And when you're done, you get prehistorically correct pemmican with dried meat, with wild currants, and with pine nuts. Now, the Pemmican pemmican is different in that you use prepared jerky, craisins, and pine nuts. Pine nuts are available at Costco, Walmart, places like that. They're kind of expensive, but they're very, very tasty. And you just stick them all in a food processor, and you wind up with pemmican that looks like that. And it's shelf stable. It's really good trail food. It'll become your new favorite trail mix. Your kids will eat tons of it. And it can be made at home without stone tools.